Hi, everybody. Welcome to my second edition of the day, Conversation with Calvin Weeder Species. I'm talking fast because I'm wired, because I'm doing something I love to do. This is a special 2 weeks. This is part of my working with the Garden State Film Festival as it's coming up on March 27th and 30th. So I've been given this wonderful gift of being able to interview actors, filmmakers, directors, production people, producers, musicians, all involved in films that have been submitted and are showing at the Garden State Film Festival. So I am in heaven, like that movie Heaven Can Wait. It's like Heaven Can Wait. I'm with my first actor of the day, Julian Gavilanes, in New York City as we speak. Julian and I actually we've been BSing before we went
Yeah,
out for an hour,
best.
and I suspect we could have gone on probably till midnight at least, just BSing about your wonderful world of creativity and writing films and acting. And so we got a lot of really cool stuff, good stuff, a lot of name dropping, a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm done with my. Do you remember Johnny Carson? Is that before your time?
No, I mean, he was before my time, but I remember
All right. Well, anyway, my Johnny Carson monologue is over.
him.
So, you know what,
Wild.
Julian? How about just do a real quick little
Cool.
history of yourself, and then we're going to start with Our America. So take it
Great.
away.
Thank you so much for having me. First and foremost, Calvin, I really appreciate it. I'm also wired. I've had a couple too many coffees today, but man, it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Who
Wednesday.
knows? I don't even know what day it is anymore. I'm Julian, as you said, and I am an actor, artist, creative based in New York City, originally from Seattle, Washington. Uh, Fun fact, my dad's actually from Ecuador, so I spent about half my childhood growing up in Ecuador.
Oh, wow. I
All
just interviewed a
places.
guy 2 days ago from Ecuador.
Oh yeah,
He's in
nice.
Quito. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
my I spent half of my childhood in Quito.
Wow.
I know I look like Chad, all American white quarterback, but yeah, believe it or not, I'm half Ecuadorian.
Wow.
Uh, So moved to New York about 13 years ago to pursue acting and have since become, I guess, somewhat of a frustrated actor and have moved into filmmaking as a result of not being able to just book roles as frequently as I want to in the acting space. And so really trying to lean into writing roles for myself that kind of are more aligned with who I am and what I want to represent. And so here I am. Garden State Film Festival is our world premiere of IAMERICA, and we're so thrilled to be a part of that festival. So
Okay.
yeah,
Good. All right. I America. So, what inspired I America?
it's interesting. I actually had originally before I moved to New York, before I became an actor, I was going through a really kind of terrible breakup, and my mom wanted to console me and help me out, so she invited me to go and volunteer at a Ronald McDonald House. And I went and I met this young kid that night named Hunter. He was a 4.5-year-old boy with a really rare case of leukemia, terminal, and he was in quarantine, so he wasn't even able to come to the dinner. But he came downstairs as we were packing up, and I met him, and him and I just instantly connected, and it was this really kind of like otherworldly friendship that was built immediately. I was like, 24 years old. He was 4.5, but there was something between us that was so like sweet. He was so sweet and so funny and kind to me. And we both just took to each other. And his mom was kind of skeptical, kind of like, what the hell is this guy doing? But we became friends, and I became friends with his mom. And thereafter, I started visiting him at Children's Hospital, and I essentially became so close with him that I was accepted by his family to become his big brother, and was adopted into their family. And uh, I watched him that year after, as I was entering my acting experience in Seattle. I watched him cure himself of this cancer through what could only be kind of qualified as like the power of love. I saw him really just like move through this thing with so much grace and love and humility and humor, and it was just incredible. And so I originally wrote a movie about myself going through a really tragic time and trying to find myself, and then finding acting and having this young boy essentially be kind of my guiding light into finding myself and becoming this artist that I was going to become. And the movie was called Phases. And over time, about 7 years, that story kind of shifted its narrative, and it went from uh, like a really lost, misguided guy and a 4-year-old boy to a really successful actor who's also just as lost and misguided, and a war hero, a war veteran. And I just kind of wanted to like create, I wanted those characters to have, I didn't want it to be so personal. I wanted it to kind of have some, like magnitude to the character qualities. And so I was also just really fascinated by my own typecasting. I'd been acting as a lot of military people in television shows and heroes, so to speak. And so I had this really big fascination with uh because as an actor we go on, we play characters, and I was playing this hero and being regarded as this hero, and people, whenever they'd see me on TV, they'd be like, wow, you're killing it, you're crushing it, you're doing so amazing, I can't believe it. But then I realized that there were also real heroes in the world who weren't getting that same type of appreciation or that same kind of attention. And there were real military heroes who were, dealing with survivor's guilt, they were suffering because of kind of what they'd seen, all while I'm sitting over here being like praised as this hero on television. And so that's really kind of where like the origin of this story kind of was birthed from.
Okay.
And yeah, it took me about 7 years, but I finally kind of put it together and made sense of it.
Okay. Interesting. Really interesting. So you're an actor first. You have, we'll talk about it later, I guess. You've got, film and TV credits and stuff. So what made you want to lean towards actually now filmmaking?
I think, like I said in the beginning of this, in short, because I was really just frustrated by relying on my agents and managers to get me a job, waiting around for a phone call to say, hey, you have an audition. And it's such a it's such a taxing experience
Huh.
just being an actor, you know, because the act of acting is so small, and so you're not really getting to do that uh, more than a fraction of a percent of the time. The rest of the time you're just spent trying to get the job. And even if that means you're a professional auditioner, even if you're lucky enough to be getting the auditions to have the opportunity to book, not more than 99% of the time, you're not booking that stuff. And so it's just this like, you're just drained because you're putting all of this effort in. You have to put that kind of effort in because, you want to have this sexy indifference, like, oh, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to feel desperate, but you're desperate, like whether you are or whether you're acting that way or not. It's just like you want that job so bad. And I just was tired of feeling that way. I was tired of just waiting for somebody else to kind of make my life happen for me. And so, it's funny because I was like, all right, this is where it's all going to happen. Now I'm in control. And, then you get in control and you realize like, oh, this is hard. Like
Yeah.
now it's all on me,
Yeah.
now there's no time clock here. Like I could work. There's not enough hours in the day to get the
Correct.
things done. And so, I've really had to kind of figure out time management and really trying to like give myself breaks and rest, because otherwise I'm just in over my head and stretching myself too thin all the time. But yeah, I mean, I would say out of being a frustrated actor, I decided that I just really wanted to take this into my own hands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This I always like to ask because I'm a writer of sorts, and so what's the process that you went through getting it from a page, to the screen? I mean,
Yeah,
is
it
it
was
hard? How long did it take? It took you
what
years, right?
it took me about 6 months. I thankfully got a person who I met on a podcast, actually. I didn't actually even meet him on the podcast. I heard him on the podcast. I reached out. He has since become my creative partner. He was the director of IAMERICA. I
Mhm.
just really resonated with everything he was saying on that podcast. So I sent him an email, and I had been in the process of sending so many email. Every day I was sending emails to people. Hey, do you want to get involved in this project that I'm trying to work on? I'm trying to make this project. I'm trying to make, just whoring myself out there, And this guy, Sean Crampton, reached back out to me and was just like, you're speaking my language, man. Everything you're saying is incredible. I love it. I really want to work with you. I feel like we're on the same page here. And just really lucky to have found him. And he put together kind of an approach to making this, to producing this film, to actually, because when you write a script and you're just like, okay, so what next? What am I supposed to do? I have this thing, but like, how do I turn it into a movie? If you don't have all the gear in your closet, you're like, what do I do? People are like, just go shoot with your cell phone. You could everybody has access to everything now. It's just like, sure, but also like, come on, we're trying to make this thing of some type of quality. And so, we tried to figure it all out together, and then we realized, all right, we're going to need some capital for this thing. Originally, we were going to shoot the feature film, and it was going to cost too much, so we decided to do this proof of concept. And even that, was still going to be about $45,000. Well, 30 originally. That was what the quote was. And so I was like, in my mind, I thought that was going to be really easy. I was going to take it to like a crowdfunding campaign and I was going to raise that money in one day. That was what I thought. And that wasn't what happened. It was incredibly hard. And I spent the better part of like 4 or 5 months just like really humiliating myself, kind of, to try and desperately trying to like get
Yeah.
people to give me money. And it was such a slog and I felt terrible, but I had to keep acting as if I was like, like really enjoying this part of the process. So people didn't like see that and people really wanted to give because like people don't want to give to something that feels desperate. They don't want to contribute to something like that. So I really had to like work super hard to kind of like keep my like my quality of life intact while I was doing all of that. And let me tell you, man, it was really kind of dropping at rapid speeds for a while. I was feeling really
Yeah.
just gross. It didn't feel nice to do that. And again, I thought it was all going to happen within a day. And then when it didn't, like there's days where you don't make any money and you've spent all this time making like creative content and you're putting it out and you're trying to do these things and give people reasons to support you. And I'm doing these like dance videos or singing for people or acting monologues, doing like whatever you want. I'll do it. If you give me 5, 10, $15, whatever, just give me your money, please, and I'll do something for you. It just felt like I was a prostitute. Um, but sure enough, we raised the money. It was just like over time, we made it, and then uh, funny enough, we shot the movie, and then as soon as the movie was done, I was like, wow, it was we this is way prettier than I anticipated it being. Um, Sean, the director, was also going to edit it. He was also going to color it. He was also going to do all the post-production stuff. And I was like, I think this movie deserves to have proper people doing those roles. And he was like, all right, well, it's going to cost another $15,000. And so I went right back to the drawing board and did it all over again.
Yeah.
And it was just as bad. But you make it happen. You
Yeah.
just like get it done. People are always like, how do you do it? How do you like get into acting? How do you make this? You just like, you just do it. You just figure it out. I
Right.
don't know. Like you Google it. You just ask whatever question. If it's dumb, you just do it.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, the path gets narrower and narrower, and you figure out the intention more closely related to what you're trying to do. And slowly but surely, it just happens. If you really want to make it happen, it will happen. And that's kind of how it went down. It wasn't any like snap of the finger magic trick. It was just like hard work and
It's hard
me
work.
feeling like a worthless pile of crap for,
Yeah,
many months.
it's hard work. Yeah, hey, listen,
Yeah.
me on my side, with my novel, trying to get it out there, and it's the same type deal, sort of, kind of. Um, so, you have a creative purpose, and how did this movie help you accomplish this creative purpose? Um, it, this is a fulfilling thing for you. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I think because I guess like my creative purpose really is to be able to make art that connects with humans in a way that will help them expand their sense of empathy and their sense of humanity so that we can hopefully have dialogue about, you know, things that maybe we're afraid to talk about. I find that in my life, when I share myself in a vulnerable way, it's so much more indicative of other people sharing themselves that way than if I come on and I say, "Hey, I just had this great week. I just made $1 million. I booked this giant movie. I'm killing it right now." It's not relatable. I think the one thing that is relatable is grief and is trauma. And not that I just want to sit here and trauma bond all day long, but I think when we allow ourselves to be imperfect and when we give ourselves permission to look stupid and to fail and to be weak, we actually give ourselves strength in that. And we're able to really connect with each other on a different level than I think we otherwise do when we try to impress. Um, and I've just found that in my life personally, I'll sit down at dinner with a friend and he'll be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I'm just like, man, things are going really hard. And I notice it's just like a thank God, me too, man. And it's so like rewarding to get to just be authentic with people. And I think in a world where we're all, seemingly wearing some masks and trying to impress each other, and in a world, especially of social media and highlight reels, it's kind of so attractive to me to kind of take that veil down and just to be transparent and to show yourself in a really vulnerable and authentic way. And hopefully, my art does that. And I want this movie to be the first of so many that I get to make. Um, and a stepping stone to that conversation of connecting with the topic of grief. And it's okay to be not okay.
I like that.
'Cause let's become okay by accepting that.
I like that. It's okay to be not okay. I'm writing that down.
Nice.
Do I have your permission?
I don't even know if
I,
I made it up.
I don't know. Not to
But
be.
yes,
I
go
like
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
I take notes. I'm a note taker.
Great. Yeah.
I'm taking notes about you. You know
I
that?
love it.
Yeah. There you go. Um, how has it been uh trying to get iAmerica seen?
Dude, so hard.
Hard.
Yeah. It's kind of hysterical actually, just because, you spend so much time, as a writer of novels, the work it takes just to finish typing that in and of itself is already such a humongous feat.
Yeah.
Then to go and publish it or to go and produce a film or to go and make these things, to actually get it to become a packaged thing is takes on a whole nother life in and of itself. So once you've finally gone from like point A to point B and you have like really accomplished all that stuff, for me, it's like I just kind of expected, especially because I really stand behind the film. I think it's really beautiful. I think the acting is really well done. There's like it's a really pretty film, and it speaks for itself. It does what I intended it to do. And so when we finished it, I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait for the entire world to know about this. And just like everything else in the world, like nobody's paying attention to me. Nobody's paying attention to any of us. Nobody's just sitting there waiting for me to like finish a project to give it to them. They're all worried about their own thing.
Yeah.
And so it has been a real challenge. And I don't claim to, I'm like a first time filmmaker, you know. I've been in the acting game for 15 years, but I still feel even new at that, you know? And I shouldn't have these expectations that people are going to care. I should be realistic about this and recognize that it's a process and, you know, be grateful when people are interested, have, you know, do your best to, you know, illuminate the value of what it represents when you get these opportunities to go and screen at cool festivals like Garden State and other ones as
Oh,
well.
I'm
And
holding your thing up, I America.
oh yeah,
I forgot to
cool.
do this. Uh,
Nice.
it's a great poster. I'm holding it the wrong way, but
Yeah, that's
powerful.
it.
Yeah, that's your
That's the
movie
poster.
poster. See,
Yeah.
I come well prepared,
You
Julian.
do. Yeah, that's impressive. But yeah, you know, I appreciate you asking, and I really do want to be honest about it because I think there's a lot of people that are just like, even people ask me all the time, like, how's the movie going? Like, how's I America like tracking? Where is it going to be? And you start to get kind of self-conscious because you're like, you know, like there's not much happening. You know, we have this thing going, we have that thing going, but it's like in this space, as an actor, as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a creative, if you aren't being sold as a bestseller, New York Times bestseller, or if I'm not like on TV opposite Tom Hanks currently, or you know, and people don't have like an immediate attachment to like the relevance of that, it's hard for them to understand the gravity of whatever it is. And you shouldn't expect people to have any care about that. I think people do appreciate and respect the thing, but I think when trying to like when you start to mix like art with commerce and you start to like need people to watch it in order to like be able to leverage the next opportunity that you do, it starts to get a little muddy and you're just like, oh man, like I I'm like removing some of the love and passion out of this process because now I'm like in need of this tangible thing that I need to have happen in order for me to make the next step. And so for me, I'm trying to like find the balance of both of those things where I can, you know, make money and have integrity. And I think it's hard.
Yeah.
It's proving to be a challenge, but I'm willing to continue putting in the work to figure it out.
Yeah, I said this to you earlier. What you're describing, I live the same thing in my world
Yeah, I bet.
with my. So I every word you say, I feel because I'm down that road, that
Yeah.
creative road to get it out there. You have
Mhm.
expectations, and one of the hardest things I'm teaching myself is don't expect. Then
Yeah, we had a Christmas party this last holiday back home in Seattle, and one of my friends had this decision. We've all been friends since we were in like grade school, and one of my friends had the idea to he brought all these pine cones and or no, sorry, one pine cone, one big pine cone, and we all wrote down something that we wanted to burn, just something that we wanted to let go of. And we were supposed to like crinkle it up and put it inside one of the pine cone things, and then we were gonna burn the pine cone as this like ceremonious act of like, you know, burning it on fire and letting go of it. And mine was expectations because I'm just like, I have to let go of expectations. I have to get rid of them because they're killing me. They're
yeah,
making me they're making me have a life that isn't as enjoyable as I could be having. Um, and they're making me beat myself up and they're making me be really hard on myself and just not kind. And I'm done being that way, you know, like I know that I'm young, but I'm not getting younger. You know, I'm like entering my 40s and it's just like this isn't cute anymore to be this way. I gotta be better to myself. I gotta be kinder. I gotta get to where I'm going the way that I want to get there without having to have these expectations that are founded in nothing.
right.
They're like you are where you are because you are where you are. And that's it. I don't deserve anything that I don't have. I'm here because I'm here. That's
Yeah.
not because of a lack of effort or talent or anything. If something great happens in my life, awesome. That's a bonus to what my life already is wonderful because of.
It's interesting. Um, the whole thing about expectations, we talked about it. I've got my theory. The nice thing that you can look forward to is the older you get, the less you expect
Oh,
because
can't wait.
you're the product of having lived and experienced and learned. These are learning experience. These are learned things, I'm at a wonderful place now, being a solid septuagenarian. That
Mm,
the whole institution of expectations doesn't really exist. I don't give is what I'm not going to do the rest of the expression. I don't give. I don't give. I'm just whatever comes comes. Next, and this cause I'm such a groupie. Oh, I'm such a groupie. Even though I'm a septuagenarian, I'm a groupie. So you have your acting reel shows you've had some interesting working with some big stars: Anne Hathaway, Morgan Freeman, Rami Malek.
yeah.
Did a great. Uh, you know. So what did you learn from them when you kind of work with these people?
Yeah, it's been such a thrill every time I've been able to work with, like a real celebrity like that. Sometimes on TV shows you work with actors that are familiar and stuff, but when you work with somebody like that, it is a little bit different. It is, and it's also not at the same time. But definitely each one of them something different. But overall, um, I think the most beautiful thing is that even at that level there is seemingly just as much, if not more, of a care for quality of work, for like a real craftsmanship.
Wow.
And, I got to experience all three of those people doing something exceptional with themselves and seeing like into their process in like little tiny ways. For example, Anne Hathaway I did a movie with her called Eileen, and my first day was her first day. So the whole movie set was like really tense because it was her first day and everybody wanted to make sure it was right for her. It's a pretty small film too. She definitely greenlit the whole entire film. And so like, I think everybody knew that. And she was picking out a watch and for her character. Her character is like this like she's the psychotherapist inside of like a juvenile detention facility. And she's like dainty and she's like this beautiful woman in New Jersey who like comes to town and like takes over it in this position. And everybody's like, whoa, who is this like beauty? Anyways, she's choosing a watch on her first day. And we're like on set, we're ready to shoot. And the props department are like trying to find this perfect watch for her. And of course, she's like sitting there, like going through like all of them, trying to put them on. And of course, she picks the one that is too small. So they have to go and get like brackets to make the watch bigger and do this thing. All the while, I'm like listening to some of my co-stars around me. They're just like, "What a bitch! I can't believe she's like just such a diva. This is terrible." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She, first and foremost, like, she's an Academy Award winning actress. She's also greenlit this film for us to have jobs here. Thirdly, this is like so fascinating because she's not compromising on what she wants as a character. And that's something that like a lot of people would look at and be like, oh, what a diva. She's taking up time, people. She's creating time for us, in my mind. She is making these jobs. She is literally providing jobs for us. And at the same time, we're getting insight into like little tiny nuance of her process, which is like, I care. This isn't Anne Hathaway just being like, nope, I just want to waste people's time. It's like, no, I want this to feel perfect for me. Because even if this is an independent film and it probably won't have as much traction as Les Miserables, I still am bringing the same exact intensity and professionalism to this as I would to that. Because why wouldn't I? And that was the same thing with Rami, and that was the same thing with Morgan. And with each one of them, I got to ha share this moment with each one of them where I got to like, be present and have this like intimate thing with all three of them. And man, it was like there's something about that level of professionalism and talent that kind of pulls you back a couple feet and you're able to look at it and be like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense why you are where you are. And I'm so grateful to have witnessed that because I'm going to do everything in my power to uh, embody whatever that is in myself to try and like push forward as I move through this career for myself.
Okay, off topic time.
Great.
I forewarned you. I got a couple things I always like to ask my journalism stuff. So you don't even have to answer it, but I like this question. I actually plagiarized it from a great journalist, so be it. Uh,
Great.
so, Julian, excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Chris Farley.
Boom. Great, great.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Chris Farley?
Yeah, I just saw what's his name? The Blank Boy movie, Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that. And David Spade and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Oh, it's the I mean it's definitely of a time, but I don't know. There was something about him that I really like. I think I understood him on a really deeper level, like not necessarily just like his humor, but his sadness as well, and his like sad clown disorder, and
Yeah,
a lot of that like need to like perform
yeah.
that
Sometimes I
wound up.
think he's not acting; he's being himself almost.
Yeah, yeah, that wound up essentially, killing him. And so I'm forever fascinated by him, and I would
I
love
like
to
that
just like
answer.
sit down and actually have give him a hug and
Good
ch
answer.
yeah.
So next, the last question, and I like this. Yeah, listen, you're an indie, I'm an indie, and I was thrilled beyond words when Honora won almost everything. And
So good.
you have an indie film that was shot for in the world of Hollywood, 6 million, which ain't much.
Nothing.
So how do you feel about that? Is that a beacon of a brave new world that you see coming? Because
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, yeah, I think so. I am so thrilled that, you know, Sean Baker has set such a great example through all of his films, not just Anora, but The
yeah,
Florida Project and Tangerine and Red Rocket and all these other films that he's done. They were all great and they all kind of like have their own thing that isn't trying to be an Academy Award winning film, right? And I think that's what's so attractive about them. And I think he's really carving a lane for independent filmmakers to become more centralized
yeah,
and it makes me really hopeful,
yeah,
and I saw that when it happened, and yeah, I the feelings that kind of came over me were just hope
yeah.
and excitement for this new world
For
of
all of us, for
for
you,
all
for
of
me,
us,
the
yeah.
whole state of independent is
But it takes us like he is diligent, man. Like he'll talk about it. He's like, he wasn't able to have kids. He didn't have a wife. He's neglected a lot of things in his life to get to this point. And that's one of those things, man, where it's just like, what do you really want? Like, because everything casts a shadow. All the best things in the world cast their own shadow. And so we have to show up and if we really want to do this stuff, then we really got to do it. And yeah, of course, we all want to have balance in it all, but I don't know. I'd be interested to talk to Sean Baker about like what his quality of life looks like and where his balance is outside of filmmaking.
well, maybe
Not
we
that
can
I
have
would expect that he would be a bad person or anything, but it would be fascinating to have that conversation.
I like that. I like that. He's a Jersey boy, you know.
Oh, is he?
Oh
Cool.
yeah, he used to be years ago. He was a projectionist in an old
Yeah. Yeah, I
theater
know that.
called the
Oh,
Wellmont
cool.
Theater. Yeah, he was a projectionist. So, yeah, and I'm so sensitive to everything Jersey. We got the Garden State Film Festival, which
Yeah.
is March 27th, March through the 30th. But there's a whole new light on the world of New Jersey. I've written an essay that New Jersey, no offense, you're a New Yorker, but New Jersey has won its independence from New York and Philly. We can stand on our own in just about every department. Music, we got Bruce,
Mhm.
live 3 miles down the road from me.
Nice.
We got some of the great restaurants of all time here. We've won it, but we're winning our independence in the world of filmmaking. Because as we speak, next week, Spielberg is going to be shooting here.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, in Middlesex County somewhere. And I got all my little groupie friends said, Calvin, go audition, for an extra.
Where's my phone call, man? Come on,
Yeah.
agents.
Yeah, so I inform my friends who keep nudging me to I've retired from being an extra.
It's not. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You earn that.
yeah, I retired. I did earn it. Anyway, last thing. How can people find you?
I am on Instagram at Julian Gavilanes.
Okay,
I have a website which is just juliangavilanes.com.
perfect.
Um, and yeah, those are kind of my spots, that's really kind of where to do
That's
it.
fine. Perfect. I'll have all this information for people to see. Again, I'm reminding everybody, I America. Um,
If they want to come, we are block I think it's J29 on Saturday between noon and 1:45 p.m. on Saturday the 29th. I'll be there with my beautiful girlfriend and my dad and my brother, and some other friends and people who are going to be out there. But yeah, come say hi if you're around. I'd
okay.
love to shake your
Actually, I'd like
hand.
to
Say
meet you,
hello.
Dad, because I have
Yeah.
a dear friend in Ecuador.
Oh, cool.
His name
My
is
dad will be there
Alan.
too.
His name is Alan Hesse, and he's a conservationist, and we've been working on all these environmental projects these last couple of
Nice.
years. And he just wrote a whole new graphic novel called Captain Polo in Brazil. And he's got all these interesting. He's great, and he's really a caring human being. And he's the first and only person I know. Well, now you
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
Ecuador.
yeah. Yeah.
So we're done.
Great.
Julian, this was great. To be continued. I'm herewith, forthwith, inviting you to come back. Other projects and things come back above and beyond the Garden State Film Festival. Please do come back. I'd love to have you back. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Calvin.
I'm going to stop recording. Don't leave. We're going to do a 2-minute wrap.